Right now we're shooting full HD using the selfie cameras on Samsung Galaxy S21 Fan Edition and Samsung Galaxy S23. This is the ultimate shootout of these two phones. Let the battle begin. Let's start with color profile or saturation, and Samsung Galaxy S23 is more vivid than last year's Samsung Galaxy S21 Fan Edition. Also, managing the highlights helps with the colors as it eliminates those bright lights from the light source. On some shots, S23 is also brighter than S21 Fan Edition, and the real distinction here is the overall look on Samsung S23. It is well balanced in Samsung S21 FE, that high dynamic range look. Last year's flagship has issues clipping the highlights, but overall in situations where there are no direct light, you would hardly know the difference between S21 FE and S23. Colors are almost the same, especially on well-lit situation. Feels like the image are coming from the same phone. Looking at all sensors from ultra-wide, wide, and telephotos, colors are consistent. On the camera app of Samsung, if you go to the More tab on Samsung Galaxy S23, you will have the unique Expert RAW function or feature of the camera. This is like the Pro mode, and you can adjust the megapixel from 12 megapixel to 50 megapixel. The biggest changes on video is the resolution, starting with the portrait video. The subject separation is not that good on S21 FE. It can only shoot full HD. While Samsung Galaxy S23 I think has one of the best portrait video you can find on a phone today, like the more expensive S23 Ultra, it can also shoot UHD. I will go through two more video resolution changes. This is the super steady mode of S21 Fan Edition, and it can only shoot full HD. While the new Samsung Galaxy S23 can shoot Quad HD on super steady mode, I also feel that the colors of S23 has better contrast and details. This is the video resolution test. This is 4K 30 FPS on Samsung Galaxy S21 Fan Edition. Again, if you're just doing vlogging on YouTube, I think 4K 30 FPS or 60 FPS is good enough. And this is 8K 30 FPS on Samsung Galaxy S23. Double the resolution, but bigger file size as well. This is a very detailed camera comparison video, so if you appreciate this kind of work, don't forget to subscribe. I just show you the lenses of the two phones, and there's no smudges on them because we are testing the flaring of these two phones and both of them manage it really well. I just feel like S21 Fan Edition is more flaring and sometimes overexposing photos when the direct light hits the sensors. Another area where there are improvements is the highlights, which we talked about earlier. S21 Fan Edition tends to overexpose brighter areas on the image. Looking at the clouds here, both ultra-wide and wide sensor. This is the video stabilization test starting with S21 Fan Edition using the main sensor 4K 30 FPS, and we'll be doing it one by one and then side by side. The stabilization in S21 FE is really good. And this is Samsung Galaxy S23, and like the S21 Fan Edition, if you shoot 4K 30 FPS, there's not much of a difference between the two honestly. Both of them are really good. Going for a side-by-side test, you will see micro jitters on S21 Fan Edition. Next is exposure, and this is personal preference. I'd say the older Samsung Galaxy S21 Fan Edition exposes the scene better, as you can see on the leaves at the back. But Samsung Galaxy S23 has heavier contrast or shadows that makes the image look natural. I think both phones has the same focus distance from the subject, but because S21 Fan Edition is more punched in, it naturally has closer focus to the subject. This is the video zoom test with 16:9 aspect ratio, so you can see wider and better. It starts with ultra wide and then wide. And then when we hit the 3x optical zoom, you will see that S21 FE is now wobbly. So we are testing that theory and going for a different type of test. We're running on a 3x optical zoom, and you would see that it shakes crazy on S21 FE. Let's make it extreme, going for 12x digital crop. The stabilization on S23 is simply amazing. Next, testing the sharpness and looking at all three sensors from ultra wide, wide, and telephoto. It's almost the same. Sharpness on these two phones are identical. I think S21 FE is applying a little bit of sharpening, while S23 is natural looking. But if you go for digital crop, there's no competition. The sharpness on S23 is sharper than last year. The story goes the same on details. S21 Fan Edition has only 12 megapixel, while natively S23 has 50 megapixel but uses pixel binning to output 12 megapixel. So on a 12 megapixel battle, obviously the bigger resolution S23 will win. Quickly checking the specification, the Samsung Galaxy S21 Fan Edition has a bigger screen and more affordable, while Samsung Galaxy S23, because it's newer, has 4 things. It is faster because of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, better build quality, longer updates, and of course, newer sensors for the cameras. But again, probably the question here is price to performance ratio. Would you rather get the Samsung Galaxy S21 Fan Edition or the Samsung Galaxy S23? This is one of the biggest letdown on Samsung Galaxy S21 Fan Edition. In 4K selfie video, the stabilization is not that good. So pro tip, if you want to use the selfie camera for vlogging, I bet you want to upgrade to the newer Samsung Galaxy S23 that can shoot 4K 30 and 60 FPS on selfie video with great stabilization. Let's talk about portrait mode, and right off the bat, Samsung Galaxy S23 has better contrast and details than the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE. It is also wider a little bit than S21 FE, and shooting this on a monopod, it's a hit or miss on S21 FE with its focus, while S23 can refocus when you click on the shutter button. And even if I use the voice command like cheese or smile, you will see that S23 has so much details on my face compared to S21 FE. And the biggest change I think is the subject separation. S23 is a better cutout than S21 Fan Edition. Next, we're checking night shots, and because of the newer sensors of Galaxy S23, it captures more details on low light condition. You would also notice it is sharper and has more details. Again, there's nothing else that S21 FE can do on the software side. This is more of a raw performance of the newer sensors. And speaking of raw performance on ultra-wide, you will see that S23 has more details on low light. It has better colors on the main sensor, as you can see on the color of the road. It has better noise reduction on 3 times optical zoom. And going for a low-light selfie video, Samsung Galaxy S23 has better exposure than S21 FE, while last year's Fan Edition has better contrast. So this is the ultimate camera test of Samsung Galaxy S21 Fan Edition versus Samsung Galaxy S23. This is a tale of two different flagship. One is catering a budget segment and the other one is a premium consumer. Let's do a recap. Nothing much is going on for Samsung Galaxy S21 Fan Edition. It only has better exposure and closer focus, which honestly looks like the same distance for me. While the newer Samsung Galaxy S23 has more saturated colors, expert RAW, UHD Portrait video, Quad HD Super Steady mode, 8K 30 FPS, manages the flaring better, manages the highlights better, heavier contrast, better stabilization in 4K, sharper and more detailed photos, better portrait mode, better night shots, and better quality low-light video. I think last year's S21 FE is more of a crossover between a mid-range phone and a flagship. And quickly ending this vlog, no explanation needed with everything this phone offers, the new Samsung Galaxy S23 is definitely an upgrade. And there you go. Hope you enjoyed this video. I will continue to compare Samsung Galaxy S23 in our channel, so stay tuned. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.